1, 2, 3, 4. Those are numbers, but you already knew that. If you want to know what number you're going to pay each month for your car, use Kelley Blue Book My Wallet on Auto Trader. They're really good at numbers. Auto Trader.
Khan. I'm laughing at the superior intellect.
Hello and welcome to Unequal Sequel. My name is Dave and I am one of your two hosts of this amazing podcast.
And I'm Rich and I'm also one of two hosts of this podcast. Think of me as Sam to Dave's Frodo. I don't know what I'm doing and he's got hairy feet.
The premise of Unequal Sequel is very simple. We ask our guests their best ever sequel, worst ever sequel, and finally their dream sequel.
And of course we quite often drift off and just have some good chats about movies.
And on today's episode we are joined by artist Matt Ferguson.
For those of you who don't know, Matt is the co-owner and director of Vice Press. He's done movie poster work for Disney, Marvel, and now Hasbro with the Transformers franchise. I'm really excited about that. You can probably tell when you get into this episode. They're all great pieces of art. We are both huge fans, and I'm about to spend loads of money on some of his work. So if my wife is listening, I promise it's not from the joint account.
I've just bought some, it's fine. We're all very excited to sit down with Matt and chat all things sequels with him.
This is Matt Ferguson's Unequal Sequels. Enjoy.
Well, I was going to try and take a while to get onto like Transformers, but I don't know if you can see behind Rich, he's got Transformers behind him.
Oh, I mean, I've moved house recently, so I've not got all my collection out, but I've got lots.
Yeah,
I love
yeah, me too. I'm mildly Transformers obsessed.
I'm working on the 35th anniversary. Lots of stuff happening with that, so...
Is that your dream project?
Basically, yeah. I mean, I've had lots of those dream projects, but yeah, that one's kind of like the kid. Yeah.
I can see the smile on your face.
Because obviously there's stuff that you love when you're a bit older and stuff, but like the kid me is like Transformers. That's why I still buy all the toys and stuff, because I just love them.
Absolutely. And I've got a 5-year-old little boy now and he's Transformers obsessed. But in the right way too, because we watch the movie together about once every couple of weeks.
Yeah, my daughter, she's not bothered about the Transformers cartoon. She loves He-Man, but she likes Transformers toys. So the Dinobots, she's obsessed with the Dinobots. So.
Well, I'm excited for the poster. I think Rich will definitely get the poster.
Oh yeah, when you've got a print of the poster.
The poster isn't even the whole of it.
That's incredible. Yeah,
it's everything. Wicked.
Well,
but and I've sort of made it happen as well, because it sort of started out not being everything. It started out being a poster, and then I've just gone, I need to do more, and I've made it a bit crazy.
I love it.
Amazing. So did they come to you, or did you go
a
to
bit
Hasbro?
both. I kind of like shouted on Twitter about it a lot, saying I wanted to do it, and then they came to me saying, "We've noticed that you want to do
it." You've made it quite clear. Is that how you got your first project?
No, my first project was just putting stuff online and then getting noticed, and I got noticed by some Marvel people. And then my first ever job was doing the Avengers box set.
That's
amazing.
Professional job.
Try and stay cool about that. I don't think I would be.
It was crazy.
Just scream a lot. Do you remember your first sequel that you watched?
Yeah, I do. It'll be Return of the Jedi. I actually saw Return of the Jedi before I saw the other ones, I think. I've got a vivid memory of Jabba the Hutt freaking me out. So I wasn't very old, because it came out in 1984. So I would have been like coming up to 2.
That is,
and I didn't see it then. It was a bit later. It was on TV, so it was whenever the premiere on TV would have been. I was probably like 4 or 5 or something. But I've got really vivid memories of Jabba the Hutt freaking me out.
Positive memories?
Yeah, I think so. I've always liked that. See, like, my other half doesn't like horror and stuff like that, whereas I really do. I've always liked to be scared. Yeah. Apart from afterwards, when you're thinking about it laid in bed and you're like, but yeah, no. So I think I've always had that sort of... It's like thrill-seeking, isn't it, really? So
yeah. Do you like roller coasters and stuff?
No, I hate roller coasters. I went to Alton Towers once and I made it to lunchtime. I had to go home.
Which ride put you off? Was it the Nemesis?
It was the one, it goes up and it stopped at the top and then it went down a pit.
Oh yeah, it's Oblivion. Yeah.
And I went, oh bloody hell, at the top. And then when we were done, I was just like, I'm done.
I'm done now.
What I found
that was like 10 years ago.
Went to Alton Towers or anywhere like that is because I'm 6'6", and I don't fit in anything. I'm too tall for all of them. So like I'm trying to get into like squash myself into these things and like come off like bruised and battered because I've just been shoved into like the bits that go over your shoulders and stuff. And then they started, they put like, if you're taller than this, you got to be taller than this to ride this ride. They also have, if you're taller than this, you can't ride this ride. So it was like queuing for ages and getting turned away. I'm like, it's not fair.
Oh, that sucks.
That isn't fair.
The last person we interviewed, which was Helen O'Hara, she also said Return of the Jedi was her first memory. And it was the first sequel she's seen out of order. Did you watch them in the right order afterwards?
I will have done, yeah, because I can remember watching Star Wars. We didn't get a video until like 1991, and I don't even know if it was even on video, readily available. You could probably rent it. So we watched it on TV, and then the first time I really properly watched them would have been when the special editions came out in the cinema. I saw them in the cinema. 6, something like that.
That's when I first got to experience on the big screen. I was very excited. It was great. But that's when they slowly changed a few things. Old George Lucas made some explosions better.
It's weird because some of the changes are good. Like if it's to fix a problem, I'm all for it. I'm fine. Like a black outline on something or something like that. I'm like, fine, fix it. But if it changes like the tone, then I kind of am a bit like, oh, it's like Darth Vader now screams no at the end of Return of the Jedi. I didn't know that was going to happen, so I watched the 4K Blu-rays. And I was like, ooh, nice picture quality. And then he screams no, and I was like, what? And it gave me flashbacks to Revenge of the
Sith.
Which I guess is why he did it, because he wanted to tie it back to the new film. But that whole thing with Darth Vader is it's sort of silent and he just does it. He just makes the decision and he does it. So then him screaming no makes it like less of a sacrifice.
I really hate that no in Revenge of the Sith. It physically makes me angry.
It's worse in Return of the Jedi. It's worse in Return of the Jedi because it's just like...
Because it's a film you love. I love it as well. It's my favourite Star Wars.
Yeah. It doesn't ruin the film, to be honest. The film's still really good. But I find it a bit odd.
Bet. What is your best sequel? Let's hit this up. By the way, great picks. I'm excited to talk about them.
My favourite sequel is Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan.
What a great
choice.
We were talking about liking horror, and when Dave told me what your picks were, I was like, that's the first film. That's the first time I ever remember having a proper nightmare. Like proper as a kid, waking up sweating.
Close.
Yeah, in the ears. Yeah. And I watched it again. No, we did this podcast. And I was like, the effects are so bad now. The prosthetics are so bad. I was like, definitely not having nightmares this time.
I love there's a little close up of the critter, and it's like, it's got a weird little, and you think, ooh, right, it's going in their ear. Yeah,
but yeah, proper woke up sweating. Like very upset as like a 7-year-old kid. I think.
I had the same. But they go to the abandoned space station, and Bones finds the people hung upside down that Khan's left, and it's really like, whoa.
Yeah.
Especially like if you've watched the TV series or the motion picture, which is just the TV series again, it's like a whole other sort of tone.
Me and Rich found out today that like the Wrath of Khan is like a sequel to an episode in 1967. I've never realised that. Are you a Star Trek fan, and would you call yourself a Trekkie?
Yeah.
Very proud of it.
I used to go to school dressed up as Captain Kirk when I was a kid.
Amazing. So Shatner's like next level for you.
Yeah, I had a homemade Captain Kirk outfit.
That's brilliant. There's a scene in Wrath of Khan right at the start where Kirk's kind of saying hello to the cast, and I was like, it's like, and there's this person is by this like Bones and like Scotty and then he goes, and who are you? And he's like, my name's Pete. And I'm like, he's dead. He's like, that guy's dead. And they're like 2 scenes later, he's dead.
Well, they couldn't have the red shirt thing anymore because they were all wearing red. By that point, so there's no red shirt thing.
I watched it and it plays so well. Like see a lot of people say it's like a western, and I've really never really taken that on board until probably yesterday. What do you like about it so much?
I like the writer and director obviously understood Star Trek, and they understood it's got some allegory in it, and that's obviously key to Star Trek, but also the whole thing with the characters, and it's like a real swashbuckler in tone and like very naval. So it's where they really kicked in Star Trek with all of the sort of submarine warfare type stuff, and it just gives it a really interesting flavour. Because obviously with Star Wars, it's dogfights, it's spitfires, but this is a different kind of thing in space, and it just has a really nice sort of. It's basically a perfect film, I think. Really.
And James Horner's score,
yeah,
absolutely bangs. It rips through that.
Reused from something else.
Oh, really?
Which film now? Yeah, he used to reuse all of his scores like crazy. Like, is it Battle Beyond the Stars, maybe? Because he did the score for that. And then he also did Krull. And if you watch Krull, the music, it's like, oh, wait a minute, I've heard that. And then there's all sorts of cues that are similar to in Aliens and stuff as well.
Yeah, he was James
Cameron.
Cameron.
You can just sort of like, he's got such a good style, James Horner. You can really tell.
Yeah. Are you a fan of the original film, the motion picture?
I am, yeah. I really like it. It's very different. So this sequel, like you say, it's a sequel to the TV episode. And it's weird because like Star Trek 2 is kind of like one of the more action-packed episodes of Star Trek, even though they never actually meet each other face to face. But the motion picture is like trying to do the whole thoughtful 2001 thing.
Yeah.
And it's got really amazing visuals and it's really good, but it's very slow and takes a long time to watch. Whereas the Wrath of Khan's like, it just rollicks along, and it's just really, it's like a real.
Because a lot of people don't like that original motion picture, do they? It
gets
a lot of grief.
I like it. I think it's really good. It's probably like in my top 5 Star Trek films, the motion picture. It's like, it's a different kind of film, so it's really hard to sort of compare them because they're just so different.
You're going to have to rank them now.
I have to rank my Star Trek films.
Yeah, if you can. What's bottom?
The worst one is Star Trek Into Darkness.
Really?
Yeah, by quite a way.
Okay.
That's the one where they tried to remake The Wrath of Khan and failed.
Yeah, it's not good.
So that's kind of like my gut reaction of going, why are you doing that? Because you're just imitating something that's, you just can't do it as good. Don't do it. The bad guy in that should have just been a Klingon, because the Klingons used to look like people in the original series. So they should have done the whole thing where he's been altered to look like a person, but he's really a Klingon. And that would explain the superhuman strength and all that stuff. Anyway, whatever, I digress. It's not a very good film. It's good to look at.
Right. What about the original cast? Let's start with them. So Khan's the best.
Khan's the best. Then Star Trek 4,
Yeah.
I would say, is after that, because that's a really good movie. Then probably Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country.
I mean, yeah, I saw that one.
I'm with you. I'm with you so far.
And then it's either 3, The Search for Spock, or the motion picture. They're kind of like 4 and 5, about the same. I even like Star Trek 5, to be honest.
Is that the Search for God one? The Flying Frontier one?
Yeah. It's the one that William Shatner directed, and it's kind of like a bit of an ego trip.
A bit of an ego trip.
But they go to meet God, and he's all just like, I don't think so. And he has a fight with God. It's brilliant. It's not. It turns out it's an alien, obviously. It's not really God, but it's awesome because God's like, I need your ship to spread my word through space. And he's just like, I have a question.
Yeah.
What does God need with a starship? I just always loved it. The delivery.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Shatner is so good as Kirk, isn't he? Like,
Yeah.
he was born to play this part, especially in this film. And in this one, was he 50, 51 at this
I
point?
think he just turned 50. And they were reticent. I remember reading or hearing that they were reticent to do the stuff with him being middle-aged and like needing glasses.
I love that
But
bit.
then it kind of like works so well for the character because he's kind of like a bit on the back foot.
Yeah.
And there's the young people coming in because it's Kirstie Alley, isn't it? And she's sort of like the young upstart.
Kirstie Alley's great in it as well.
Yeah, she's like her film debut, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's really
so
good.
it's kind of got lots of themes like about that getting old but also rebirth, and then there's the whole stuff with the Genesis device, which is to do with all of that as well. So it's like everything sort of ties together and it all lines up. And
I think
just gets
considering
along.
it was made in 82? Was it 82?
Yeah.
It still had that kind of 60s vibe to it though, didn't it? That's how it kind of felt to me. It still looked like the original series a bit. I didn't. Whereas some of them, like 5, for example, kind of feels very separate to that. I don't know. It's for me, and just the aesthetics of it.
It's just got. I think it's a tonality thing. The tone of it and the way they talk, and he obviously got the characters and the way Spock is. like sacrificing himself, but not making a big deal out of it, not being all like, no. He just does it calmly, doesn't tell anyone what he's doing. It makes it more emotional by him being not emotional. That's like the key. It's brilliant.
Yeah, that's a great cinema death. It's so well played. And the chemistry between, well, the three of them, between Bones, Spock and Shatner, is at this point is obviously it's so good. They've been doing it for like however long years. If you had to pick a favourite scene, what would your favourite scene be?
In Star Trek 2?
Yep, in Wrath of Khan.
Favourite scene?
Yeah.
There's so many really good ones. I don't know if I can. The one that impacts the most is the death scene, but I don't know. I kind of always loved how it's the scene where he ties into the computer on the Reliant ship.
Great scene.
And he gets the shields to come down, and the guy's like, I can't raise the shields, and Khan's like losing it, and he just says, what does he say to Khan? It's coming right now or something.
Right,
and it's
now.
really well shot, the way he says like fire, and it's just close up.
Yeah.
Fire. And it's just like, because up to that point he's kind of been a bit on the back foot, and that's like when he gets his mojo back, and it's really like, he's kicking ass again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's like where it turns, because up to that point obviously Khan's got the upper hand, and he twists it around. It was like classic Captain Kirk, and he turns it to his advantage.
Yeah.
And then from that point, obviously, he's not going to lose, but then he does lose Spock.
That is true. Have you ever got to watch this with an audience, like in a cinema? Have you ever got to experience it that way?
I don't think I have, actually. No, did I? They did do a... No. I was going to, because they were doing screenings of it.
Did the pandemic happen?
And the pandemic hit. I was going to do it like last year, I think, and there was something to do with Shatner coming and doing Q&A as well. And there was tickets up for sale, and then it all... So I would have by now, probably.
That would have been so good.
It would be so good to watch with fans of the same.
But it's the 40th next year, so...
Are you knocking on some doors?
I'm always knocking on doors. I'm like, I'll do it. I'll make the poster.
It'd be a great poster. The artwork to this as well, you must love this poster.
Bob Peak poster.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a classic.
It is a classic. That would look good on the wall.
I actually think his one for the motion picture is a more iconic poster, though. The motion picture poster with the three heads and the rainbow colours going up. That's like pretty much my all-time favourite film poster. But it's cool. It's the same artist, because they used the same artist for all the movies who did all the key art, because they used to do that back in the day.
I'm about to say, what is he still doing them? Has he stopped?
Oh, I think he might be dead. Bob Peak.
Yeah, it's a great poster. Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, Wrath of Khan for me is the ultimate Star Trek movie, mainly because it's endlessly quotable as well. There's so many bits in it that you realise that other people have ripped off as well. I mean, obviously, there's the Shatner, the Khan, that kind of happens a lot. But there are a few bits in it when I watched it again. I was like, oh, that's where that comes from. Have you got favourite lines or anything from it?
Well, obviously, like you say, there's the Khan one. It's like a really literary film, and it does quite a bit of quoting from literature. Like Khan's just spouting Shakespeare-y type stuff. So I like that. Like when he says, "I spit my last breath at you," or whatever he says. I've seen it a lot of times, but I can't verbatim say the lines.
That's okay.
I'm going to want to watch Star Trek 2 this weekend now, though.
It's so good. I forgot how good it was.
It's genuinely an
the
all-time
pacing
classic.
is so good. Like, what is it? Just over 2 hours long or something like that?
Yeah, it's just tight. Just edited so well.
It's so nice the way it just bubbles along, and it introduces the characters really nicely, because we didn't even know Khan was in the original series. So we didn't know who this Khan fella is. No, but you kind of don't even have to.
You don't need to. No.
You see the fear in people's faces as soon as Chekhov is.
Well, the classic thing is Chekhov wasn't in it.
Yeah, that's true.
Chekhov came in series 2, and Space Seed is series 1, and Chekhov wasn't even in.
But there's they've kind of they've gone back and written it, haven't they? That he was a security officer on the Enterprise, and
so he was there, but he wasn't part of the story.
But he wasn't in the show. Yeah,
because he wasn't cast at that point. So then, when obviously Chekhov goes, and at the beginning he's like, "Botany bird," and he's like, and he has to get out there, but they don't get out there in time. And then Khan recognises him.
Yeah.
People, a lot of nerds were like, huh? But it doesn't really matter, because if you've not seen the episode, that tells you what you need to know, that it's somebody they knew.
Yeah.
And he was marooned there. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
And he's mad. He's really upset.
Yeah, and the reactions in everyone's face as soon as they hear the
Yeah.
word Khan, they're like, fuck, we're in trouble now, kind of thing. Especially Shatner's reaction. We should probably... how did you react to Spock's death first time you watched it?
I will have cried. I've cried a few times watching the film. I was very young when I watched that film for the first time.
No
Probably
shame.
a bit too young, because I think it was like a 12 or a 15 even when we were kids. But I think I watched it when I was about 7 or 8.
Yeah, I would have been about 7, I think, when I watched it for the first time. Hence the nightmares.
I liked the TV series as a kid, because like my parents introduced me to that. So I'd watched that a lot. So then watching the film like that, it was a bit like a real eye-opener. You see, it's like the uptick in the special effects as well compared to the original TV series. It's because it's ILM, isn't it? And it's really got some impressive visuals in the space bits anyway.
Yeah, because sequels at this point in 1982 weren't really a guaranteed thing. So this could have been the point Spock actually died.
It wasn't like a done thing, and that's kind of like why it works, because I know it leaves it open at the end a bit, but coming back to Into Darkness when Captain Kirk dies in that one, doesn't he, at the end, right? But then they bring him back 10 minutes later anyway, and it's like, just have the balls to leave it for a year or longer till the next movie.
Yeah, this one had 3 years between this. I think it's a bit of a giveaway when the third one, was called The Search for Spock.
True.
So, I mean, but still at that point, were you like, Mum, Dad, is he dead? And they're like, yes,
Yeah,
son,
basically.
he's dead.
Finished. But that's like things like Transformers.
Yeah.
That was the other one, Optimus Prime dying. That freaked me out. Because of the UK version of Transformers, it says at the end in a voiceover, Optimus Prime will return. If it didn't say that, I'd have been finished. That was more important to me than
really?
Spock
Yeah.
and stuff. Optimus Prime.
Also, there's Leonard Nimoy in that as well, isn't there?
Yeah, he's the voice of Galvatron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The cast in that is bizarre.
The
It's got
cast is
Eric
amazing.
Idle.
It's Eric
It was
Idle.
Orson Welles' last film.
Exactly. It's brilliant. We can talk about Transformers if you want now. It's a brilliant movie.
Transformers the movie is my favourite movie of all time. And
It's up there for me. It's crazy. It's such a good film.
The soundtrack is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's got the lines are so quotable.
Yeah.
Like 90% of them.
Like you said, like the Transformers they kill off at the beginning.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Just kill off everyone you
Just
love. Like-
Wow, it's crazy.
It's not a kids movie.
Well,
No.
yeah. I mean,
But the thing is coming to sort of with Transformers is it's a tone thing again. It's still got a tone of fun. It's got like hot rod fishing, you know,
Loved Hot Rod.
silly things like that. So it's kind of kid friendly and not at the same time. Whereas like some of the recent movies, they're
Yeah.
not. The tone is really weird, like nasty undercurrent to it. Obviously, Megatron's going to be bad and want to kill people, but yeah,
the Bay
it
first
all comes down
movies for
to
me
tone.
just really upset me. Like beyond the first one, the first one's acceptable,
I quite like the first one. Yeah.
and Bumblebee's acceptable, but everything in between just really grinds my gears.
It's just really strange things like that. I saw one of them at the cinema. I can't remember which because they sort of all merged together. But Optimus Prime's fighting another robot, and he says, "Give me your face," and then with his bare robot hand rips the face off of the other robot. The baddie.
Yeah.
That's
And it
not
all
Optimus
melted
Prime.
off and disintegrated. And they're like, "Oh, it's fine because it's just robots." But to the kids, it's not.
Yeah.
That's when it becomes like a problem with the tone for me.
Yeah, and that's also not what Prime would do.
No,
You know?
freedom is the right of every sentient being, you know?
Absolutely.
So,
Like there's just no. It just it completely loses it for me in that second movie. And that's. I mean, actually, Dave, if you're asking me these questions we asked in this podcast, then in terms of like worst sequel, then it's going to be the Bay vs Transformers 2, and the Dream sequel will be a sequel to the original '86 movie. So
yeah.
Was the sequel to the 86 movie, was it another TV series?
Yeah.
Or was it...
They did another TV
Okay.
series, yeah, but it was kind of like a bit crazy. And then it went like really Japanese as well.
Series
like the Headmaster stuff.
Yeah, series 4 they only had 3 episodes, and then it just they just lost it. really. But I
That's
think
a
by
massive
that
shame, isn't
point, like 88, Transformers sales were kind of dropping through the floor, 88 to 90. And then it wasn't until Beast Wars that they picked up again. And by that time, you can't really go back to G1, really, But they could make one now, because all of the 30-something, 40-somethings would still go and watch it.
I've got a pitch. If I was in the room with like Hasbro Studios or Paramount or whoever it is, the pitch would be to do a trilogy. First movie is Cybertron, setting it all up. No humans, just the story of how it all starts in the war, and you've got Optimus Prime, but he's not Optimus Prime. He becomes Optimus Prime. Oh. But then at the end of that movie, they realise that they can't win, so they get in their ark and they go to escape. The second movie is Earth and all that, and you get the Decepticons come in, and it's sort of like an Earthbound war movie. And then the third movie is just essentially a remake of the 1986 movie.
With Unicron. Amazing.
Yeah. So you just build up to this crazy ending movie. It's sort of like a MCU style.
Yeah.
By the end, you've got a planet eating other planets and stuff, but you've sold by that point.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What is your most disappointing sequel? So it's not the worst sequel, but one when you were so hyped for it, and then you got in it, and then you're out of it, and you're like, oh god, that was disappointing, kind of thing. What gave you the blues?
Probably Star Trek Into Darkness, because we're talking about Star Trek, and I quite like the Star Trek 2009. I think that's a really good movie.
Really...
But Into Darkness just fumbled
everything.
It's just a shocker.
Yeah.
And it looks so good as well. So you sat there thinking, this is really pretty, amazing looking film. With incredible special effects, really good action, and just nothing to it. It's just nonsense. And I saw that at a midnight screening as well. So I saw Star Trek 2009, and then that after it was a double bill. So I'd just seen a really good movie, and then I was like, I want to go to bed. I want to go to sleep. This is the worst. I want to go to sleep. So that made it even worse.
Did you see that with fans? Was that proper Star Trek fans as well? So was everyone just...
I guess so. It would have been, yeah. Everybody hated it.
Good.
And my wife was like, why did you bring me here? It's the middle of the night. We've been doing like seasons of films, we call it. So we did all of the MCU.
We're doing that now.
And we're doing Arnold Schwarzenegger at the moment. And that is some serious ups and downs. Like... You start off with like stuff like the first Conan movie. Oh, this is really good. I've not seen this for a while. I'm loving it. And then the Conan sequel is unbelievably bad. Red Sonja is unbelievably bad.
I haven't seen that in years.
Red Heat is shocking. Raw Deal is quite good fun. I enjoyed Raw Deal. But then it gets a little bit better. And then you get into stuff like Junior, and you're just like,
oh god. So where are you now in that?
I think the next one is Terminator 2.
Oh,
we're
wow,
like
that's a good
reaching
one.
peak.
Yeah.
We're reaching peak, and we just had
talking about good sequels. That is
Kindergarten Cop, which was pretty good. Kindergarten Cop holds up.
It's not a tumor.
You've still got True Lies to come. That's
True Lies. Yeah.
There's at least one good one to look forward to after Terminator 2.
We might give up, but we do like doing the season because then. A, the choice is taken away from you, and B, you either get pleasantly surprised or you're just like, this is so bad, and you just go with it and have a laugh.
Yeah, we're doing Marvel Monday at the moment, me and my wife, and she's loving them, so that's good. We're going to go on to your worst sequel now.
Okay, so it's sort of not my worst sequel.
Your least favourite sequel?
Least favourite would be Spider-Man 3.
It's a good choice. I can see why.
Like, I could have chosen, like, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 or whatever, but that's just kind of, like, redundant because I just don't really care about that film. But I do care about Spider-Man 3 because I love Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2 specifically so much. And Spider-Man 3, I think, although not a terrible film, has got some very strange things in it that were maybe studio mandated, I would have thought.
There's some really horrible bits in it. I actually... have a story that Spider-Man 3 is the only film I've ever walked out of the cinema without finishing.
Wow.
So I watched Spider-Man.
How far did you get?
I was saying this to Dave earlier because he was really curious as to where I got, because I said to him I watched it again today and I was like, at exactly the same point I was like, no, I'm giving up on this movie. But I stuck with it today, so I've actually seen the whole thing. I think it lost me at the point where Peter's dancing down the road. And all the girls are looking at him and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, and I decided to leave the cinema at the point where he's again dancing in the bar, and essentially trying to put Mary Jane to shame. And yeah, that was the point.
Odd
That was
choices,
like,
yeah.
I'm gone. I'm done. And the friend I was with said, "There's an all-you-can-eat Chinese next door. Let's go there instead." And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." I can't finish this film.
I just don't understand some of the choices they've made in that film.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
It's just
Especially that whole sequence.
changing who killed Uncle Ben.
Yeah, yeah.
That's just so weird. Changing
Yeah.
it.
Some of it is just clunky.
It's also nearly 2.5 hours long.
I mean, the female characters in it have nothing. Yeah, it's really long. Like, the female characters in it are literally nothing. You know, they're literally there as a device for Peter to swing through the air with.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they've got really good actors playing those characters, and they don't use them at all.
It's great class.
Like, they're just, you know, Bryce Dallas Howard may as well not be there. She may as well be a tree stump for all the kind of acting she actually does.
It's such a shame because it could have been good.
Yeah,
You can see elements that would have been good.
yeah, absolutely.
Like, I think Sandman's an interesting villain. Not necessarily that he killed Uncle Ben, because that's just pointless, but just like having a villain who's not really a villain per se, you just by accident. I mean, that's classic Spider-Man, obviously, but the whole thing with his daughter and stuff, and it's just kind of like, there's elements I'm like, I'm interested in this, but then I'm not interested in Venom because he just falls down out of the sky.
Yeah.
What are the chances?
What was the
Because
point?
they set
Yeah.
up the astronaut as well, though. They set up the
second
astronaut
one,
boyfriend
yeah.
in the other movie. So why couldn't he have gone up into space and got the Venom parasite that way? But he just lands next to
I
him.
absolutely agree. The only character I really like is Sandman. The only one I feel sympathy with is Sandman.
Yeah,
You know, and that might be because I love Sideways and Thomas Hayden
Yeah.
Church is amazing.
true.
But yeah, Sandman's just the only kind of the only character in it that I have any kind of, you know, respect for, really. and I was watching it then, I was like, I didn't realise Kurt Connors was in it. You know, Dr. Connors, and I was like, he would have been such a better villain, which is apparently what Sam Raimi wanted. Like,
Well, he was sort of setting him up as well in the other films.
well, there was supposed to be
Yeah.
there's supposed to be kind of 4, 5, and 6 made, weren't there? But the reaction to this was so bad they decided to reboot it instead. Although
Which was then even worse.
it made a fortune, an absolute fortune. This film,
But that's coming off that's when it comes off the back of a film like Spider-Man 2.
yeah,
And people just want to go see it.
true.
And that happens a lot. It's like Batman Begins didn't do huge because it was coming off the back of Batman and Robin, but then The Dark Knight did do huge because Batman Begins was actually really good.
Yeah, true. So it made
So it has like a knock-on effect.
$860 million. This movie, which is, but then it cost $350 million to make, which was like $100 million over budget. Yeah,
Whoa.
the $100 million over budget.
That must have
in
been
8
the
months.
most expensive film ever at the time then, right? Well, that's because they were probably changing stuff every 5 minutes because it feels like that. Like they were going, oh, well, and then we'll do this and then we'll do that. And it feels very much like they were on the fly.
Apparently, it cost them $1 million a day to film in New York, and they went 8 months over schedule. So that's kind of a lot of the money.
It does have Bruce Campbell in it, though.
Oh, Bruce Campbell's the
best
best thing about it. The maitre d'.
Pecker?
Oh, it's so good. I love Bruce Campbell.
I was about to say, what's your favourite
brilliant.
scene from Spider-Man 3? Is it the Bruce Campbell cameo?
Yeah. It's always Bruce
Yeah,
Campbell
he's
scene.
so good in this. I can't wait from him in the new. It's going to be in Doctor Strange as well, apparently. So that's Sam Raimi.
Oh, yes, that's Sam Raimi's as well. But given more leeway,
Fingers
hopefully,
crossed.
to make something.
Like you said, this
really
just
good.
researching this film today, it just seems like the studio were just trying to put too much things on Sam. Like impression, like all he really wanted was Sandman, and they were like, "No, come on, you need Venom because everyone's been waiting for Venom, and it will make certain money." And we still got the James Franco storyline that I completely forgot was in it until I literally watched the trailer today.
Oh, God, yeah, because he sort of goes nuts as well. And then Willem Dafoe's in it again.
Yeah,
Just
it's
the man in the
Force
mirror.
Ghost,
Or
Willem
whatever.
Dafoe.
Yeah. That Willem Dafoe's always good. His bits are good. There's the butler, the weird butler, who's like, oh, come on,
The thing that annoyed me about this
weird.
film is that literally none of it would have happened if people actually talked to each other. If you actually said what's going on. Like right at the end, the butler's like, "I should have told you this, but your father definitely killed himself." Like, where were you 3 films ago?
He's gone nuts and got
Steroids.
jacked up on
Yeah.
psycho serum.
Yeah, I can see because the drop off it is a hot mess. It's a
hot
perfect
mess.
way. The drop off from Spider-Man 2, which is probably one of the greatest comic book films, to this it's insane. I don't think there's many quite that's made
Yeah.
quite that leap in not the good way.
If there wasn't the other films, it wouldn't be so bad. I think that there's been much worse comic book films, or much worse films in general, obviously, but it was just like the sort of hype around it, I remember, was huge. And we went to the cinema and we were so excited.
Yeah,
and
the
then
black
was
suit
like,
is so cool.
what? And then there's like an English news reporter at the end, and it's really weird. Why is this English woman on the news? What's going on?
That was odd.
And she's just in a car, like with webs everywhere and stuff. And
it's
it was just really strange.
It is very
It's
cool.
very comic booky though, but like.
And that's the thing, I
cheesy
think, is
comic
that
booky.
it comes across as cheesy because it's comic. They've tried to make it comic booky, and it's almost like they've tried a Tim Burton Batman kind of style comic book, but not hit those cues at all, and it's just come across as kind of childish, really. Yeah, I think it's just difficult, and I've got to say, I don't like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. I just, and it feels to me like Tobey Maguire's too nerdy, and then what's his name? He comes next. Andrew Garfield is kind of too cool, and then Tom Holland's just kind of hit it in the middle. Yeah, I think
like Goldilocks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just right.
I found Tobey Maguire in this movie just really painful. Just kind of
the one thing that I always thought with the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans that they could have had more of was the quipping, like Spider-Man being all cool and quippy. Because the whole point is, in his day life, he's a loser and nobody likes him. So then when he's Spider-Man and he gets that confidence and he does all the cool, fun quips and stuff, which they get more of in the recent Tom Holland ones. So I like the quips.
Yeah.
And there's not enough quips.
He doesn't really have that at all, does he?
No.
It just feels flat to me, I think. Emo Peter Parker doesn't do anything for me.
No.
How are we going to signify that Peter's now confident but weirdly evil? Oh, we'll just swipe his hair across his face and make him paler.
Black suit.
Yeah. He doesn't look evil. He looks like he should sit in the corner and write some poetry.
That's the bit in the piano bar as well.
That's the bit. That's the leaving bit.
Like you're saying things, I'm like, oh god, I remember this, and then other memories are coming back. There's something with pigeons, isn't there, in the sand pit? How Sandman gets made?
Yeah,
he falls in,
and they go, "Oh, it's just birds. They'll fly away when we turn it on."
That's it.
Yeah,
well, forget it. It doesn't matter. It's like how scientific. And didn't they want to look at what they're doing? Wouldn't they see the guy in there because they're doing an experiment? They just switch it on and forget it.
Also, Sandman's turned to sand, and yet somehow the locket with his daughter's picture in it is not turned to sand. Like all his clothes are, he is, his shoes, not the locket. Like his fillings, everything's turned to to sand, not the locket though.
I always thought the casting of Topher Grace as Venom, as Eddie Brock, also not great casting. Because I always imagined Eddie Brock a little bit like a bigger.
He's like a bully, isn't he? Really?
Yeah, bully. Topher Grace was at that time was that 70s guy nerd.
Yeah.
It didn't really work. But I thought the CGI of Venom was okay.
I mean, visually, it's got some good visuals and stuff. They obviously spent a lot of money.
They did spend a lot of money. A hell of a lot of money.
It's weird. Have you ever seen the older one that Sam Raimi did, Darkman? Have you ever seen Darkman?
I haven't.
Yes, I watched it at uni, but I can't.
Because that is like a dry run for Spider-Man film, and that ends in a construction yard, but like a building being built, a fight. It's weird, and there's elements in that are the same as Dr. Octopus in Spider-Man 2, where he goes to continue his work. I always thought that it's really Sam Raimi has these things continue through all of his films.
Even some of the stuff in Evil Dead 2 and Evil Dead is very Doc Ock, like
definitely.
The POV of the arms.
Yeah, the way he shoots stuff, but also just like themes and visuals and stuff. It's got that going for it, that you can tell it's a Sam Raimi movie still. When it gets going, it's quite dynamic and stuff.
It's just too long. 2 hours and 30 minutes for this.
Yeah.
It's insane.
You just didn't need Venom, really.
I can't believe it's that long, actually.
We were talking about how well Star Trek plays. This is completely different. The flow of it is just horrible and awful. And it's boring. It's really, really dull for most of it.
Yeah.
It's really dull, actually. It's mostly Peter keep on trying to propose to Mary Jane, but keep cocking it up. Essentially, it's like 80% of the film, like tripping over his own ego halfway through. Like,
Thank God for Bruce Campbell, hey?
Yeah, I mean Bruce Campbell's the saving grace.
Always is in every film.
He's only in it for like 2 minutes.
That's all he needs.
But there are good actors in this film. There are, but they're just not used, are they? That's like no one in it's kind of. Elizabeth Banks is in it for like all of like 3 lines. Like
God, she's
like the secretary.
She works at the.
Yeah,
J.K. Simmons, I've just realised, is still in this movie.
J.K. Simmons is in it, yeah. And he's
Yeah.
even J. Jonah Jameson's muted. Like, he's not even very good in this because he's had a heart
It's
attack.
obviously a bit unfocused.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah. I don't think the director fully had his heart in it. And then obviously when it came to end and came to do Spider-Man 4, he tried to lay out what he wanted, and then the studio got involved again.
Yeah.
I think
He just was like, I'm not doing that again, so he just walked, I guess.
Yeah.
It's probably the best choice he made, to be honest, because they ruined this one.
Yeah, I would watch any Sam Raimi film. He's great. What film have you enjoyed so much but you didn't think it needed a sequel?
Oh, that's a really good one. That's a good.
Right,
question.
that's
I've
perfection.
enjoyed so much that didn't need a sequel. So I was like, well, I'm not bothered about this, but then I loved it.
Or the other way around. You like, there's no point. I also like your question, so I'm going to nick that for future episodes. Which one didn't you care and you enjoyed the second one more? You can answer either one of them.
I don't know, but I know which ones I think are pointless, completely and utterly pointless. Would be the Matrix 2 and 3.
Yes.
First Matrix is completely self-contained story, and it ends and it's done.
Yeah.
It's finished. It's completely finished. There's no need for a sequel at all. No matter what they did, it was going to undermine that movie. And they did.
Absolutely agree with you.
That's
Like 2 and 3, completely pointless.
Because The Matrix is an absolutely brilliant film. It's like a classic film. And the sequels, they're not terrible.
No.
But they're not classics, are they? So there's just no point to them because it's just like, we want to make the money. Come on, more. Like, you can say that about a lot of stuff, like in recent years as well, like the Transformers sequels. And there's like 6 of them.
Yeah.
They're all the same.
There's no need for that many Transformers.
They're all nonsense. Time travelling. What? There's like the Knights of the Round Table now with Transformers and stuff or something. My friend was telling me. I've not seen.
Have you not seen that one?
There's one with the Knights of the Round Table, and it turns out that they're Transformers or something along those lines.
I gave up after the third one, I think. And
I gave up after the third one when they were on the moon.
Yeah.
I actually quite enjoyed that one. That's.
Did you?
Oh, it's bad.
There's a fourth one when they really tried to get the Asian market, so they kept going to like Shanghai and stuff.
Marky Mark's in it all of a sudden. I've seen one with Marky Mark.
Yeah, that's Extinction.
And that was,
I think, awful.
That's
And
just
then
like- I thought Shia LaBeouf was annoying.
yeah, and then the last night is the one when they do whole Merlin's in it and his staff, and they make Hot Rod French.
Oh, for
What?
God's
It's
sake.
hot,
It's got Hot Rod in it.
hot, and he's French. It was the worst thing. It's so bad. And Anthony Hopkins.
might have
is
to
in
watch it just
Anthony
'cause it's
Hopkins.
so-
No, mate, it's 3 hours long. Anthony Hopkins in there.
That's the weird thing, all the stereotypes they do with the cars. So if they have like an Italian car, it's like a really weird stereotyped Italian character. And it's like, they're aliens from outer space. What the hell is going on?
They're non-carbon based life forms from a metal planet that don't have Italian accents.
Like, I don't mind them having beards and stuff because I've always thought that's cool if they've got a beard, like a robot beard. I'm like, oh, that's cool. He's an old robot. But why? Why is he an Italian? Because he's an Italian car.
What is your dream sequel? What's the film you love so much that hasn't got a sequel? And Rich is magician, so he can make this happen.
Okay, wow. It sort of is happening, but not happening, which is why I want to talk about it because I'm a bit disappointed. But I'm not disappointed. I don't know. Anyway, a sequel in the Tim Burton Batman universe that is Michael Keaton Batman, but The Dark Knight Returns, basically. So don't do the comic book The Dark Knight Returns, because like the original Batman's kind of like Killing Joke, a few of the bits and bobs. But then they did their own spin on it, obviously. And so it's its own universe, isn't it? It's like Tim Burton's Batman.
Yeah.
So with that Gotham, with that, and he has to come back for whatever reason. And be
So
Batman
you're
again.
talking, sequel to Batman Returns, and you would have it done now as Old Man Batman, or would you a few years after Batman Returns?
I'd have it done now as Old
Amazing.
Man Batman.
Nice.
So just do it
like
now.
that.
Because obviously he's coming back in the Flash movie, and it's like, it's cool, he's going to be Batman again. But I think Michael Keaton, for me, is like a definitive Batman, or at least the comic book Batman. Like the visuals, the vibe, the acting.
Yeah.
He's the one that's the most psychotic
Yeah.
by far.
Yeah.
It just could be so good.
Keaton is Batman for me. Like there's no other Batman.
It just could be such a good film.
What are
if
you?
They did it right.
I'm Batman.
He looks so
That's
good
it.
as Batman.
He is.
He's just so good. Genuinely scary, you know?
There was a third part planned. So Tim Burton had it all planned, and it got trashed by Joel Schumacher essentially because again, the studio interfered too much, and Tim Burton said, "No, I'm not doing it," and pulled
Keaton
out.
walked.
And then Keaton walked. Shortly.
It's interesting
Yeah.
to read about all
Keaton
that.
walked, and they got Val Kilmer. Do you know they had Robin Williams lined up for the Riddler?
That'd been insane.
Yeah,
That would have been
I heard
that
that.
would have been good.
That would have been amazing. Yeah.
It's weird how it all went.
Keep Burton directing. That's who you would have as your director now.
Not necessarily, because he's kind of lost his mojo nowadays.
No, you can
You know,
say it.
I don't like being I don't like being negative about people. I just feel like he's in search of a hit.
Yeah, definitely.
So this could be it, to be honest. You know, get his mojo back, because it's very Tim Burton, the Batman movie, especially Batman Returns as well.
Yeah.
And there's just something about it, the tone. Again, I could keep coming back to tone, but you can just see it, him like having to be Batman again. Alfred's long dead because he was already really
He was
old.
very old.
You have to have like Robin, you know, but you do that sort of like Robin was probably killed.
Okay, I was about to say, who would you cast?
And then he's like, I'm going to get a new Robin.
Okay.
And he doesn't want to do it, but then he has to do it because he's old.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it kind of almost writes itself, because you've got that time period in between.
Who would you cast as the new Robin then?
I think it would be best if it was as a girl,
Okay.
like in the comic.
Yeah. I have no.
Somebody.
Just one step. Would you have Danny Elfman back as composer to the music?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Because that's like a huge part of Batman, where it's just gothic and just brilliant. And then you can do another sequel after. You can do Batman Beyond,
Ah.
Yes, please.
where he can't be Batman now because he's literally is too old, and then he has to train a new Batman, and it's going a bit more sci-fi and stuff. Because Batman Beyond's a really cool cartoon and a really good idea. So I've got 2 movies for you, Warner Brothers.
Do you think if it goes well with The Flash, Michael Keaton, he gets a lot of heat from it saying he's still got it, do you reckon that they might go, we have this idea,
Yeah.
Batman Beyond, you can still be Batman?
If it goes down well, this film, which it won't, then
That's negative. No.
sorry, I can't help it. There's too much baggage
Yeah.
around it, because they're obviously stuck. It's a bit like the Bumblebee movie, which is really good,
Really
but it's
good.
stuck with the baggage of the Bay movie. And not that Justice League is terrible, not that Batman vs Superman is terrible. I just don't want to say it because I'm not a negative person like that, but they're a mess.
Yeah. Oh, Batman versus Superman.
I don't want to, and you can't say that too much because you're going to get lynched
The fans,
online.
yeah.
And that's my only issue with it, is that it's in that lane still.
Yeah.
Whereas the new Batman movie, I'm excited for, because they're just gone, forget it.
Yeah.
We're just doing Batman now.
The thing with DC movies is every fourth or fifth movie they put an absolute cracker out of the bag. So like Birds of Prey is brilliant. I love that movie. Like,
I've not seen it.
have
yet.
you
Good.
not?
It's enjoyable.
It's very, very good.
They do. I enjoyed Shazam. I thought Shazam.
Shazam
was,
was
Sounds good. Yeah, it is good.
you know,
I hated
Every 4 or 5
Aquaman.
movie. Yeah, Aquaman sucks.
I have not watched that.
Don't.
yet.
Just
I haven't
don't.
had the time.
Talking about tone, you're going to be very mixed up in that.
I've not seen the Snyder Cut either, because I don't have that much time, sadly.
Yeah,
You've
Rich
watched
hasn't
Snyder-
seen it.
Snyder
Oh
Cut.
yeah,
No, I haven't seen
it was good. That's me being as excited as I can get about it. I mean, it made sense. It made sense.
It's not like cut to pieces, I guess.
No,
I
it's a
still
lot.
need to see.
It's a lot
the-
of slow mo.
Okay.
I still need to watch the director's cut of Batman vs Superman, because I watched that at the cinema and came out going, "What? what have
Yeah.
I just watched? I have no idea how any of that happened." So, but apparently, the director's cut makes more sense.
It does.
It's a weird thing, because I blame the Nolan Batman movies for this, and not because they're bad,
Okay, good.
because they're very good. But their whole ethos was, this is real world. This is what if Batman was real. So it's not comic booky, and they're even a little bit ashamed to talk about the comic books. Like whenever they did interviews, they go, "This is like a crime movie. This is like Heat." It's a man dressed up as a bat. Calm down. But that went down very, very well. So then somebody who, I'm not saying, I don't want to be negative, but I guess it's hard to say. A producer or a man in a suit or a person in a suit basically said, more of that, please.
Yeah.
And then they doubled down on it, and then that's why Man of Steel doesn't really work, because if you set it in that uber realistic world,
Yeah.
it just doesn't. You can't.
Yeah.
It just doesn't.
I think
work.
Batman and Robin did a lot of damage to a lot of the comic book stuff at that point.
Well, yeah.
And then that was
did.
quite refreshing for a while, the new stuff, like you said, the Batman. But then there's a point when you want the old, like the Keaton Burton Batman. You watch that now and it's so refreshing compared to what's now, and the look of it, like the tone of it and the sound of it and the music. and even the acting and the storylines.
It's like a slightly heightened reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then the heroics sort of make more sense.
Like Gotham in the Burton films are my favourite Gotham because
Yeah, definitely.
it's different.
Yeah, it's got green slime and like scum and villainy, all that kind of stuff
Yeah.
you'd expect.
It's so weird because there's people in like old 50s style hats, and the newsroom is like something from the 40s, but then there's like 80s stuff in it as well, and there's a whole hodgepodge, so it just becomes its own thing.
I love it. If you're gonna do a comic book movie, make your own world. That's why the Burton ones work for me. I'd love to see something like that again. Just create your own world.
Saying I'd love to see a Tim Burton Batman again. I think he needs it personally.
He definitely needs it.
He knows the character. He works well with Michael Keaton, who is now he's open to being Batman because he is being Batman again. So
Michael Keaton must be thinking, maybe I'll get a Batman movie out of this.
yeah.
I hope so.
Fingers crossed for the
Just
flash.
he's such a good actor though. You watch things like Birdman or even the McDonald's one, The Founder. It's like a kind of boring film, but he's just absolutely brilliant in it. He's just such a good actor.
Well, yeah, when he pops up in little films, like a little bit. What's the one recently I watched? Not Spotlight. It's another court drama. He was a president. I can't remember.
But he's even good in Spider-Man, isn't he? Even the
Great, and he's great.
Like, brilliant as the Vulture. I'm glad they didn't kill him.
Yeah.
Because they have a tendency to kill villains in films, don't they? But Marvel have kind of realised if they've got a good one, they can keep him and bring him back.
He was great in the Trial of the Chicago 7. He pops up in that.
Ah, right, yeah. I've not seen that. Is that good?
If you like Alan Sorkin, it is good.
yeah, it's great. It's really good.
It's getting a lot of
Cool.
it's getting a lot of hate for some reason. I'm not quite sure why.
Is it really?
Everything does, doesn't it, though?
Yeah, it's weird what gets hate and what doesn't.
Everything gets a lot of love and everything gets a lot of
It
hate.
goes in cycles.
I don't think I've ever seen anything Aaron Sorkin's done that I haven't loved. I'm probably like,
He's a very good writer.
Yeah, would you get him to write Batman? The new Batman film?
no, I don't think it'd work.
Well, yeah, no.
Maybe if Batman was president and he was trying to get a complicated bill through Congress, then potentially that would be an Aaron Sorkin one.
Who was the guy that wrote the animated series of Batman, or a lot of it? I'd get him.
I don't know.
Or was like the creative guy, Paul Dini, was it? On the Batman the animated series?
I have to say, I do enjoy the Batman animated series.
I've always thought that got what I like about Batman right. Obviously, because it was spun off from the Burton Batman, really, wasn't it? But
I haven't asked you the biggest question. What would your villains be in this movie?
that's a really good question, because I'm just like, I just have Batman back.
Like any we haven't seen on screen yet?
Maybe.
Man-Bat.
Like a fleshed out Scarecrow could be cool in a Burton style.
Yeah.
He would do well with, yeah.
With some good dream sequences, or
Mad Hatter.
a new villain.
Calendar Man.
A new villain might be good.
What's his name?
I mean, a decent Riddler and a decent Harvey Dent would be, a decent Two-Face would be.
Yeah.
I'd love a decent Riddler.
Because I think the Riddler's going to be decent in the new
Yes, Paul
Batman.
Dano's going to smash
Its own
it.
thing. Because the Riddler's kind of like that's a good psycho, isn't it? Because he's sort of like different to the usual. Obviously, like in the Batman Forever, they just were like, just do more like the Jack Nicholson stuff. Just be like wacky. Be like the Joker. And Frank Gorshin from the old 60s show, obviously. But yeah, that's a good question, because I'm just like, I just want Batman back. You could do the whole gangs thing from The Dark Knight Returns. And they start like worshipping Batman and they wear the Batman.
That'd be interesting.
But then Batman's like, I don't like what you're doing.
Yeah.
And he has to fight the mutant. Is it the mutant leader?
Yeah, that was a bit.
And he I love that bit though in the Dark Knight Returns, because he's a big dude with his teeth. He's young and he's really. But Batman beats him with his smarts, and that's a real classic scene in the Dark Knight Returns.
I'd love a kind of comic book Bane.
Well, Dave Bautista the other day said out he's going to play him. He hasn't even been offered a part.
Oh, really?
He's gone to Warner Brothers and he's threatened them, apparently. Like, I am playing Bane.
So a guy that sort of pumps up.
Yeah.
But not. I mean, Bane in the Nolan films is more of an intelligent Bane than you get in the comic books, right? I guess.
Yeah.
Bane's kind of a blunt instrument, I guess, in the comic books, isn't he?
Yeah, the thing is it's got to be a villain that matches Batman. That's why they always go back to the Joker, because he's the flip of the coin, isn't he?
Yeah.
You know, he's like the opposite of Batman, and that's kind of like why it works so well. But they can't do the Joker because Jack Nicholson got chucked off a cathedral.
I like to see a decent Dr. Freeze. I think that would be good. Schwarzenegger one wasn't
Freeze,
quite.
yeah.
And who's the other Doctor? I'm trying to think of an Arkham City now, the computer game, the big bad guy. I don't know if you played that game.
I have played that game, Hugo Strange.
Yeah, we haven't seen Hugo
Doctor
Strange.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Not Doctor Strange.
Not Doctor Strange, no.
Or I like Raj Al Ghul,
Yeah.
but done with the whole he lives forever
That
thing.
could be interesting,
Instead
yeah.
of just being a dude, so like he actually has the pit and he can all that sort of stuff. Because he's a good villain that comes back a lot in the comics.
This is a great pick.
And those were Matt Ferguson's Unequal Sequels. I, for the most part, very much agree with what everything he had to say.
I think you enjoyed that one.
I'm really glad someone else picked Spider-Man 3 because that would be my worst sequel too. Although, having now watched some other movies as part of this podcast, maybe there's some other ones I would choose. But coming into this, yeah, Spider-Man 3 would have also been my worst sequel.
Yeah, and you enjoyed talking about Transformers with another Transformers fan, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. It was really nice. And yeah, I look out for Matt's name popping up on my Transformers groups that I follow on social media because I'm sad like that.
I don't think that's true.
No, it's true. It's very true. But yeah, it was good. It was a great episode. Thanks to Matt for coming along and for doing that with us. And keep an eye out for Matt's Transformers merchandise that's about to come out. If you have an account on Zavvi, then I suggest you have a look on Zavvi and look at the Transformers times Matt Ferguson. So Transformers X Matt Ferguson collection. It's not out yet, but it's coming really, really soon. And so some of the merchandise and stuff that he's been making for Transformers is coming out.
Yeah, how much money are you going to spend on that? Have you been budgeted?
I don't know. It depends. No, I haven't budgeted. It sort of depends on how flush I'm feeling at the time and how much I can get away with my wife not noticing.
That's true. I really enjoyed Matt, and I'm a massive fan of his work. So it was nice voice behind the posters. I've got a couple of his pieces.
Yeah, absolutely.
His company, Vice Press, you should check out their work. There's many good artists on there. So that's Vice Press. Amazing stuff. If you like what we do, we are on Twitter at Unequal Sequel. We're on Instagram, Unequal Sequel. And we are now on Spotify, Google, Apple, finally, and most other places where you can get your podcasting from.
Woohoo!
Yes.
Share this podcast with your friends, share it with your family, share it with your nan, share it with your dog and your dog's mum and your next door neighbours and you know, your cousin's sister's boyfriend. Anyone that you think that might enjoy it, which is everyone. Share this podcast with them. Get it out there.
Have we got anything else to say?
I mean, keep an eye out for the Baywatch podcast. It's where we started. It's where we made a little name for ourselves in the podcasting world. So do keep an eye out for the Baywatch podcast if you like a bit of 80s, 90s nostalgia. It's terrible, I'm not going to lie. The podcast is great. Baywatch
I thought you were
is terrible.
saying we were terrible. But no, the programme is awful. But if you like to hear two men and a guest moan and say funny things about a terrible TV show that apparently does eventually get good, then tune into that. That we're on the socials, and we're also on Apple and Spotify and Google and other places. So
I am waiting for it to get good.
we're kind of on a mid-season break at the moment, so that's quite nice.
Gives us a chance to focus on this. And don't forget, we do have Unequal Sequel Extra coming to you on Fridays. So Unequal Sequel comes out on Mondays. It's when we have our special guest, and then we have Extra. That comes out on Fridays. Which gives you some added sequel-based content. So keep an eye out for that too. If you subscribe, then you'll just get it as a little treat every Friday morning. Be nice. It'll just pop up for you straight away, and you'll be like, "Oh, an unexpected gift."
We're so nice.
Yeah, we try.
But that's all from us. So until next time, thank you for listening. Bye from me.
Bye.
Have a good week.